What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Eat, Sleep, List YouTube channel. I am Matt Johnson, your host, and I am so thankful for those who are back with us or joining us for the very, very first time. This is Eat, Sleep, List, a journey through mental health, making ourselves better, finding ourselves, and just bettering ourselves, right? It is Fun List Friday, so your very, very first fun list. So we're going to have some fun today. Let's make a list. All right, so today's topic for Fun List Friday is movie trilogies, right? Everybody's seen a movie, but there's something special about a movie trilogy, something that can hook you from start to finish. Everything that kind of bleeds together, blends together, a good overall story arc from the first to the third, whatever it may be. That's what makes a good movie trilogy to me. There are so many movie trilogies out there, and a lot of them, I would say majority of them, are just nonsensical movies that are like they really don't pertain to one another. They're just like, oh, this movie made a bunch of money. Let's make a random sequel, and then just keep going. Some of these movies are just milked dry and just irrelevant by the time the third movie comes around. I appreciate a good movie trilogy. I like stories. I mentioned in the Mirror List Monday episode that how much I love reading books, and books are stories, right? Stories hook us. Long stories hook us. If you're a pro wrestling fan, you watch it for the storytelling, right? You can watch a couple people do really cool moves and stuff, but does it really matter if there's no plot at the end of it, right? Sports all the time delve in storylines, right? There's always some kind of story or an angle to help sell you and make you want to watch this said sporting event. So today we're going to do movie trilogies, and there are a lot of good ones, and yeah. So this list isn't going to be quite like our Mirror List Monday, where it's going to be reflective. We're going to find ways to be proud of ourselves or pick ourselves apart and build ourselves back up together. But that's why it's Fun List Friday, right? But there are some really nice positive effects I've found of talking about movies. I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of movies in various different ways, whether it's at home, on the couch, over somebody's house, at a movie theater with friends or family, or on a date. We're very fortunate here in Western New York. We have a drive-in movie theater, which adds to the aura of watching a movie. There's just a good feeling talking about movies and enjoying entertainment. And that's a very important point I want to bring up, is to find a way to enjoy stuff. I told the story about The Flash. I believe it was in our intro episode. And I found a way to enjoy things. We live in a very hypercritical time where everybody feels the need to give an opinion on everything, and it's very exhausting. It could be mentally frustrating, and I don't know. I don't want to pick apart everything that happens, right? Somebody poured their heart and soul into a piece of entertainment. If I don't like it, I don't like it. I don't have to analyze it and put it under a microscope and say what worked and what didn't, because I certainly don't know. I don't believe I could do that myself. But I'm trying to enjoy stuff. And it's not just movies, it's all forms of entertainment. Every time I discuss movies with people, I think about sometimes the first time I've seen something, right? Where I was at, what movie theater. One of my favorite movie memories is, it's not a trilogy or anything, but it's the very first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. I was 4 years old when that movie came out, and it was at a theater that doesn't exist anymore. And I remember that vividly. And I still have the movie ticket too, which is really cool. But there's feelings of warmness and comfort and just wow, like, thinking about back to who I was when I first seen that film. But it's a lot of stuff with the people you're around too, right? There's just so many cool things. Like I remember like the very first movie I went to by myself with no parental supervision. Well, not by myself. Oh, well, actually, there was a movie I did go to by myself. But the first movie I went to without parents, me and my cousin went to go see one of the Meet the Fockers movies. I don't know why. I thought they were funny, and we just went to the movies just to go to the movies. So that was really cool. I did go to a movie by myself, which was interesting, the newer Power Rangers movie. But it's about who you surround yourself with that always adds to the experience, which I always appreciate. And they're also really great bonding tools, right? If you like a movie, boom, there's a connection with somebody else that likes that movie, and it's a doorway into a much better relationship if you can find some common ground in what movie you like. So those are some of the positive effects of discussing film. We are going to add a twist as we make this list. This is a concept created to enhance our podcast episodes and add another layer of conversation, maybe even debate, to making a list. This is List-Ception, obviously a pun off of the movie Inception, but it's a ranking within the ranking. Okay, so this topic, this kind of list is going to come up every so often. I'll try and maybe once a month. I won't overdo it, but it is always nice to have to list within the list, right? Micro-analyze, I guess, in a little bit about what you like. So when it comes to the movie trilogy list, what I did, or what we will do when it comes to making the list, is rank every trilogy 10 through 1, 10 being our least favorite, or it could just be, the numbers don't have to necessarily matter. And then within each selection, we rank the individual movies. So we rank with the trilogy. So I'll give an example. It's not on my list because there's like a bit of a gray. It's not really a trilogy, but let's say Rocky. All right. Some people view the first 3 Rocky movies as a trilogy. I think there's definitely an argument for it, but okay, here I picked the Rocky. 3, 1, 2. All right, 3 being my most favorite Rocky film of that trilogy, 1 being my second favorite, and 2 being my least favorite. Not that there's a bad Rocky movie within those first 3, but just as an example of what List-Ception is. It's just a fun little additional layer that helps that helps air things out. When you're doing this list, I also want to reiterate something that we talked about on Mirror List Monday, is that, if you like a movie, it's okay to say it. It's okay to say it out loud. There's like this weird peer pressure element of enjoying anything. That if you like something, you're not like, you can't like something else, or like this weird judgment. Oh my God, you really like that? Because trust me, when you hear my top 10, there is one trilogy that I get flack for putting it above another one. And I have my reasons. All right, I shouldn't have to explain it to people, but because you are so kind enough to view our YouTube channel, I most certainly will explain my reasoning. So, all right, so the lessons part. This is always very, very important to me. The lessons from the list. I want you to learn to just enjoy movies again. I have to do it myself too. It's never-ending work in progress. Everybody's a critic. That's the famous saying, right? Just learn to enjoy movies again. And if you haven't seen one of these trilogies, take some time, slow life down, take some time and just watch them. And just watch them to love them. All right? They don't have to be perfect films to be perfect to you, if that makes any sense. Or get watch it with people, watch it with friends, watch it with family, get together. Hey, we're watching this. You want to watch this together? I feel like that's a little bit of a lost art nowadays, too. I feel like nobody just hangs out to watch a movie together. I don't know why. I guess you could do like this. There's like some streaming stuff where you can watch it at the same time, but not the same. I find it really cool to watch movies together with people. Another fun story. We had a Star Wars podcast, and Christmas of 2023, one of our last episodes, we did a live watching of the Star Wars holiday special. We watched it and communicated about it as we were watching it live. Really, really fun stuff. One of my favorite podcast episodes I've ever recorded, but it's just fun to watch movies with people again and kind of just talk and discuss about it as we go on. But those are my intended lessons for the list. Now it is time for my top 10 movie trilogies with List-Ception. All right, now it is time for my top 10 favorite movie trilogies with the List-Ception twist at the end. So I hope you enjoy it. Again, these are all my selections. I have my own personal reasons. I will explain it to you, even though by rule of how we do this, I don't have to explain it to you. Here we go. All right, number 10 is the 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. And within that trilogy, my rankings are, the first one is my favorite, the second one is my second favorite, and the third one is my third favorite. I think anybody who's seen the third one knows that it was not the highest of quality, but I do have a very fun connection to this. I love to talk about it. But my uncle was actually a fighting choreographer in Hollywood. His name was Patrick Johnson, and he had a big part of the Ninja Turtles movies. He did a lot of the fighting choreography. He has a wonderful IMDb if you ever want to go check it out. But there's a picture somewhere that he sent my parents for me when I was younger of him with the turtles unmasked, and he autographed it. And it was really, really cool. I got to find it. Lord knows where it is, but really, really cool. He passed away like a year and a half ago, so rest in peace to him. But yeah, really, really fun connection with those films. My next one. All right, so this one is one of those kind of gray area ones, like a Rocky, but I'm gonna go with Toy Story. All right, because I feel like the first three Toy Stories are a connection, right? There's somewhat of a storyline. I know Toy Story 4 happened. It's kind of like, it feels like the start of something new. And I believe they're working on Toy Story 5. But I'm going to put Toy Story as my number 9 favorite movie trilogy, with the second being my favorite one. I watched that movie a lot because it was the only movie that my brother would watch and not talk through when he was younger. We just burned out that VHS tape hitting rewind. My second favorite is the first one, and my third favorite is the third one, which was really, really good in its own right. Really, really fun. But I have fond memories of Toy Story. I had a Woody doll, and I remember going to all of these films when we were in theaters with my with my family. I remember being 4 or 5 years old at this old movie theater that doesn't exist anymore, and watching Toy Story for the first time, and it just blew my mind away. My number 8 favorite movie trilogy is The Hobbit, which I will say this. I think the Hobbit movies are better than the OG Lord of the Rings, but I like the characters better in the Lord of the Rings. This is just me preference saying it may sound outlandish, but that is what I have chosen. My List-Ception, my favorite movies in descending order. So first, my number 1 favorite is Battle of the Five Armies. I thought it was epic. I did not see that movie coming at all as far as what it would pertain to. My second favorite is the first one, An Unexpected Journey. I always like the beginnings of these films. They're just fun of just charm, and I don't know. They're so good. Shout out to Peter Jackson. And my third favorite, I won't say least favorite, but third favorite is Desolation of Smog. Again, not a bad movie listed on here at all, I don't think. I think The Hobbit is a very, very good trilogy. Very good trilogy. And I'll have to rewatch it again soon because it has been a while. My number 7 favorite movie trilogy is the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, which just wrapped up in December of 2021. Excellent films all the way. They did it so quick, and I'm glad that they did because Spider-Man had such a nice impact on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. My number one favorite is No Way Home. I wrapped up all live-action Spider-Man so well. Obviously, the Tobey Maguire trilogy, the Andrew Garfield 2 movies, and it was everything I loved about Spider-Man just wrapped up into one film, and it was a nice bow on a wonderful present. My second favorite is Far From Home, which I thought was really, really fun story about Spider-Man being overseas and Mysterio, which I did not care for that character at all. Jake Gyllenhaal did amazing as Mysterio. And then my third favorite for this Tom Holland Spider-Man films is Homecoming. Not a bad film in that mix. My number 6 favorite movie trilogy is the Captain America trilogy. God, so good. Some of the best stuff that Marvel has produced. The number one, I think this might be one of the best superhero movies of all time. I think it's the second best, to be honest with you, is The Winter Soldier. Third best individual superhero film is The Winter Soldier. Such a fun spy thriller. It didn't feel like an MCU movie, and even if you took away the Captain America name, it was still just an epic, like Bond, Jason Bourne type movie. It worked wonderfully. Second favorite of that trilogy is Civil War, and it was basically like an Avengers movie light. And my third favorite was the first Avenger. Again, no complaints. Every movie felt different and unique, but all great movies. So those are my first 5 favorite movie trilogies. We're on to the top 5. My number 5 is we're going to go with the Dark Knight trilogy. All right, so the Dark Knight is, in my opinion, the greatest superhero movie of all time, greatest comic book movie of all time. I think that's a very popular consensus. Not everybody may agree, but every time I watch this film, there's something new. I find something new. So Dark Knight is number 1 of the Dark Knight trilogy. My second favorite is Dark Knight Rises, and my third favorite is Batman Begins, which I didn't like for a long time, but then I've had a newfound love for it, and I think it works just as well as any of the other ones. So there's my number 5. Number 4, this is where the controversy starts getting going. My number 4 favorite movie trilogy is the OG Star Wars trilogy. And I will explain the controversy in just a couple picks. So, I grew up loving Star Wars. It is probably my favorite movie entertainment property. Hands down, movie entertainment, video games, books, all music, all of the work. Star Wars is hands down that. But yeah, it comes in number 4 here. So my number 1 favorite OG Star Wars movie is Empire Strikes Back. It's a fun adventure. There's so much going on, and I would have loved to be in a movie theater back in 1980 when that little cliffhanger at the end dropped about Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father. It's actually really cool. You can look on YouTube and see people's reactions to that being said in the movie theater. Somebody filmed it, and you can hear the gasps from the crowd. Really admirable. It was really cool. My second favorite of the OG Star Wars trilogy is Return of the Jedi, and my third is A New Hope. A New Hope, amazing by its old standard. I think it works really great as just a total complete movie. But by today's standards, it's like the least Star Wars feeling movie. Maybe it's because there's like no lightsabers in it. I'm a huge sucker for lightsabers, but my number 4 is the OG Star Wars trilogy. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Lord of the Rings here. As I said, I love the characters so much more. They're so much more relatable, unforgettable, a really great group of, a really great cast, so to speak. So my favorites in descending order, first and foremost, Return of the King is number 1. That ending was a little long, but there was ton of action for it, a massive payoff for sitting through all three of those films. Sitting through the first two films was that movie. Two Towers comes in as my second favorite, and The Fellowship of the Ring comes in as third. Again, not a bad movie. Fun connection with this, the Lord of the Rings movies, that was a Christmas Day or day after Christmas gathering that myself, my immediate family, and my cousins, aunts, and uncles would all go. We'd all buy a ticket and go see the movie like the weekend after Christmas, because that's around. It was one of the few times we had to gather. So it was always cool to go to the movies as a big group and go watch that. My number 2, here's where the controversy is. It's the prequel Star Wars trilogy. Now, before you start shouting your head out, I can explain. Again, I don't have to. It is my list. But because you are gracious enough to watch these videos, I will read off, explain why. This is my generation of Star Wars. All right. While I admit the OG Star Wars movies are overall much better, the Star Wars prequel trilogy is mine. Like, it's the area that I grew up in. And it's the same for somebody who grew up in the sequel trilogy. All right, there's a whole generation of children, teenagers that grew up with the Rey storyline, and that's their favorite version of Star Wars. And it doesn't make any of us right or wrong about which one is better. But this is what I grew up with, and this was my connection to Star Wars. This is my doorway into loving this wonderful universe that George Lucas built up. So my number 1 favorite prequel trilogy movie is Revenge of the Sith. I think many can agree that is the best one of that. My second favorite of the prequel trilogy is The Phantom Menace, because that was my first Star Wars movie that I seen in theaters, actually. There's a funny story about A New Hope, but it's neither here nor there. I've seen The Phantom Menace twice. That was the first time I ever seen a movie twice. I've seen it with my dad and sister, and then I loved it so much I went and seen it with my mom, who was pregnant with my younger brother at the time. So first movie I ever went to the theaters to see twice. And my third favorite is Attack of the Clones. I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. There's a lot of cool excitement. I like the Battle of Geonosis and all that stuff. But that is my number 2. And last but not least, my number 1 favorite movie trilogy of all time is Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first one came to me at a time when I was just, it was rough. It was rough. It was summer of 2014. I was working 2 jobs, just tired to the bone, figure of speech. But I was exhausted. And it had been a while since I laughed or smiled. And I remember watching this movie and just being carefree, just kind of letting go. And it was such a great feeling to see that. And I'd seen that movie 3 times in movie theaters. Once at the drive-in, twice at movie theaters. But everyone since then I've had a special attachment to. So the third one, actually, I loved, because it was such a nice finality to that trilogy, which had gone production hell in between, with James Gunn getting removed over old tweets and yada, yada, yada. But Volume 3 is my favorite. That's my number 1. My number 2 is Volume 1. And my number 3 is Volume 2. Again, not a bad movie in there. So, but that is it, everybody. That is Movie Trilogy List. Please send yours. If you feel like commenting under the, in the comment section, please do. Your opinion is neither wrong nor right. It's your opinion, and that should be all that matters. Any trolls that comment under your stuff, just ignore them. It doesn't really matter, what they think, and, tell a friend. Have this discussion with a friend. Break some ice with somebody new, or feel free to send it to me. eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. I thank you so much for giving me the time to click on the videos. We'll be back next week with 2 more. We'll be back on Monday with a Mirror List Monday. Gonna get real reflective again. So thank you so much. Until next time, do you even list?